All right. Good evening, everyone joining us from India. Very warm welcome to you all. Good morning if there's anyone joining us from this part of the world in Toronto. My name is Dhruv Mohan. I represent the School of Continuing Studies at York University. Not my first time interacting with students at Chandigarh University. It's a pleasure and a privilege every time I get this opportunity. All thanks to the International Relations Office at Chandigarh University. A shout out to Meenu, who I've worked very closely with in the past. Over the last 6 years, we've interacted with many students. In the past, I've brought opportunities related to Australia, but I'm very glad that today we are going to be talking a little bit about Canada and the opportunities prevalent in this part of the world, especially in the field of accounting. So we're going to run this webinar focusing on accounting and what Canada has to offer in the same domain. I've got with me my colleague Todd, who is the program manager here at the School of Continuing Studies, overseeing multiple programs, but more importantly, the area of accounting. So without any further delays, I would leave the floor open to Todd. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to take them in the end. Todd, over to you.
Great. Well, thanks, Dhruv, so much, and welcome everybody to our session today. There's a lot of people on today, so it's so nice to see that this really nice large turnout. So as Dhruv said, my name is Todd, and I'm a program manager in the School of Continuing Studies. And I do not teach any of the accounting courses. I'm not an accountant by day job. And I say that because I manage the program. So I look after everything from the integrity of the curriculum, I look after the instructors, and really my biggest job is to ensure that students have a successful experience. So that's my biggest role. So if anything happens along the way, you can always come to me, and I'm happy to help in any way I can. I am recording the session, just so if you have to dash off or if you want to share this with somebody, we'll be sending this out to everybody in the next couple of days. If you have questions, as Dhruv said, we will entertain them all at the very, very end. I imagine with over 100 and some people on the call today, we're going to get a fair number of questions. I will do my best to get through them all, but with so many students and assuming we'll get a fair number of questions, I may not. So if you don't have your question answered, we'll do our best at the very end to show you how you can send us your questions and we can answer them straight away. But yeah, if you have a question, certainly put it in the question box and I'll get to it at the very end. So just quickly, our agenda for today, we're going to talk a bit about York University. I'm going to show you a very short little clip just to give you a little highlight of who we are if you're not familiar with the university. I'll talk about the 2 accounting certificates that we offer. Some may be more appropriate for others, so I'll share both of them with you and you can figure out which one might be a better fit. We'll talk a bit about accounting in Toronto, since again, you may not be familiar with Canada and how important Toronto is in the financial world. I'll talk about the live online format, which is how we're delivering our courses at the moment since we can't be on campus. So I'll talk a bit about that. And students that are interested in their CPA designation, which is the accounting designation in Canada, which is highly regarded around the world, I'll talk a bit about what that process looks like and how our programs fit into their designation requirements. And then at the end, like I said, I'll answer all of your questions. So Dhruv and I work in the School of Continuing Studies, which is a sort of department on campus, and we focus solely on certificate programs. And we have students in our programs from over 70 countries. We have 20 professional programs like accounting and human resources and business and lots of other part-time programs, which you may not be interested in because it doesn't get you access to the work permit, which we'll talk about later. But all of our programs are designed and developed by senior leaders. Our instructors are practitioners. They're not full-time faculty on campus, which I think is a really good thing in terms of them being really connected to industry. They're accelerated, so most of our programs or all of our programs are completed in less than a year, which we'll talk more about. And we have different formats and things, which I'll share more about in a bit. We also have another side of our business, which is called ULE, which is the York University English Language Institute, which is one of the best in the world. And we're really proud of that. But so both of those sort of departments are the School of Continuing Studies. But I work on the continuing professional education side of things. Why choose York? So there's a couple of things I just want to mention, which I think are important. The first one may not be as important to you because you obviously wanted to study in our full-time programs, but we do offer programs in multiple formats. We've got part-time programs, we've got online programs, we have blended programs, and we have fully full-time programs, which is what we're talking about today. And I'll talk about what that really looks like in a short bit. Our programs are condensed, and what we mean by that is they actually are completed within 8 months. And a lot of other programs out there, they're longer. So we sort of feel that that condensed format is really important for you as a student to get to your end result most quickly. So if you can get out to the job world more quickly, that's a good thing, and that's a really big thing that we're proud of. Our programs are also, in this case with accounting, they're all approved by CPA. So if you're considering doing your CPA designation, all the courses that we offer in our programs meet the requirements for you to earn that designation. And the last thing I think is super important, and very, very different from a lot of the competition, is all of our programs are cohort-based. And what we mean by that is that the same students who are in course 1 are the same students in course 2, and course 3, and course 4. And what's really nice about that is it really builds a community. So you get to build connections with peers, you get to develop some personal networks and people you may want to spend the weekend with and traveling and seeing Canada. You get to sort of form study groups. If people find little part-time jobs or they find full-time jobs, they can share that within the group. There's lots of WhatsApp sort of communities within the program that gets sort of built up. So really something we're truly proud of, and I think makes our programs quite special, is it has that cohort format. So who are our students? Our students are university grads. Everybody has to have a degree to get in. If you're in Canada, you can also have a college diploma, but all of our students pretty much have a university degree. As I said before, and which sort of fits with the group that's here today, some students have experience in accounting, either working or they have taken courses in accounting, and some people have not, so which is fine. We have people who are new to the field, we have people who are changing careers, we have people looking to just get the designation and need these courses. So again, a nice variety of students, which again, I think adds a lot to the classroom, because in Canada, the experience is not just you sit and listen to your instructor, write down everything they say and regurgitate that back on exams. It's also about you learning from each other, the instructor learning from you. So it's very much this holistic adult education principle, which may be unique from what you're used to in your home country. We also have a lot of group work, which I'll talk about in a bit, which may be different as well. And we obviously have a lot of international students who want to study and work in Canada, and that's their motivation. And we get a lot of those students as well, which is certainly fine. I just also wanted to comment on the format of our program at the moment being live online. So as you probably know, international students who study fully online are still eligible for the postgraduate work permit, which ties back to the international students wanting to study with us in Canada. So if you're sort of wondering, do you have to be in Canada? The answer to that question is no. You can study from your home country. If you want to come to Canada, there are opportunities for you to do so. Even if we're studying online, you can still come to Canada and study online. That's certainly possible, and we have lots of students who do that as well. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. So why study in Toronto? So we talked about the university a bit. We talked about the School of Continuing Studies. In terms of the city of Toronto, so as you may or may not know, well, Toronto is a world-class city, obviously, for many reasons, from arts to sports to the financial industry. And we are actually the largest in Canada. Obviously, this is the hub of the TSX and most things financial. It's actually the second largest financial city in North America. And I would imagine the first one is New York for obvious reasons, but we're the second in all of North America. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Toronto around accounting and finance and those kinds of things. It's also the best city in Canada for fintech, which obviously also relates a lot to accounting. There's lots of startups, and being an accountant and understanding how the money flows is critical for startups, and we have a really large startup group as well. The other two largest cities, just as a side note, is Montreal and Vancouver from a Canadian perspective. In terms of being an accountant, again, maybe some of you know this, maybe you don't, but CPA has actually put out this little report. It's on their website of the different pathways you can go to be an accountant. So there's a generalist, there's people who focus on budgets and performance, there's people who focus just on financial reporting and being an auditor. If you're an internal or an external, you can be a tax expert. So even within the field of accounting, there are lots of different ways you can sort of take your career. It's not just about debits and credits. That's actually the thing you'll never do as a CPA, as an accountant, because you're doing much more strategic thinking and planning and so on. And the last thing I just want to show you about jobs and stuff in Canada is just the number of jobs in 2020. Thought that you might find this interesting. You can sort of see again the salary ranges for people who are at a higher level, obviously make a lot more money. And this was just from a website which published the average salary for people in these roles. So again, you can kind of see where you might start on this chart, and as you sort of get more experience and more of a CPA credential, you're certainly at the higher end of the financial manager, the treasurer, the CFO, that kind of a role, which obviously has a much higher salary. So now let me jump into the program itself. So as I mentioned earlier, we offer two different programs. The first program is called just the accounting certificate, and I often call it like the foundation program. So this is the program that sets the foundation of your knowledge of accounting. And if you know anything about CPA, these would be the non-core CPA courses which are required for your designation. So you start with financial accounting, managerial accounting, economics and statistics, just as a foundation for understanding sort of accounting and finance and how it fits into the business world. The two courses that I've highlighted there in red are actually not part of the CPA course requirement, but we think that actually they may be the two most important courses you take. So you'll at some point talk to a lot of different people, and you'll maybe go for these, a job in accounting. Very rarely will they actually ask you for a question in accounting. They're not going to ask you to sort of state some ratio or do some calculation, because they assume that all students that complete these kinds of programs that have their CPA designation will have a sense of accounting. What they do ask are the soft skills, so problem solving, teamwork, critical thinking, all those kinds of things. And those are the kinds of things that we've incorporated throughout our entire program, but specifically into that business communication and that capstone course. So you'll find that these courses won't give you the hard skills in accounting, but they're going to give you the soft skills to make sure you're successful once you get into a job and you can continue in that job. I should do this first. Hold on a sec. Let me go this one. Okay, so this is the advanced program, and I'll explain how you get into the advanced one versus the foundation one. But you can see in this case that the courses are much more at a higher level. Intermediate financial accounting, advanced financial accounting, tax, auditing. Much more higher level, very specific accounting type program. This one has 9 courses, but it also has the capstone, which I didn't really talk about the capstone in my other slide, but the capstone kind of ties all the courses together. So you can kind of connect the dots using all the different knowledge and skills you learn in all the other courses. So the difference in the accounting programs, if you want to do the advanced program, you have to have 4 prerequisites. So fundamental financial accounting, introduction to managerial accounting, economics and statistics. And the economics course requires macro and microeconomics. We need both of those courses as a prereq. So if you've taken those 4 courses in your degree studies, if you're commerce students and you've taken them, then you're eligible for the advanced program, which is this one. And you can just sort of start here because you obviously have a foundation in accounting to sort of be successful in these higher level courses. Again, I'm not an instructor. I'm not an accounting practitioner. So if you have specific questions about a specific course in today's session, I probably won't be able to answer it. But you can certainly go to our website. There's lots more information around the course descriptions and such. And if you really have a specific question, just send us an email and we're happy to answer it later. The other thing I wanted to mention is, in addition to your courses, we also try and provide other opportunities for you to learn and for you to network. So I just listed some here, and I can just explain what they are briefly. But we try and have panel discussions where we bring in industry practitioners. There's one in particular we do. It's like a round table thing where you kind of like speed dating, if you know speed dating. You have 15 minutes at a table and you kind of rotate tables. And in that one, we actually have a company that has these part-time jobs that they have for our students, which is kind of neat. So usually we get about 6 to 10 students a term who can get into this little part-time program at a nice sized company. We have different events with CPA. CPA has their own events, which we sort of promote. So there's certainly opportunities to network with people through CPA and connect and integrate, interact with people in industry, which is always a nice thing for future opportunities. We also offer a free Excel course just because we thought it's a good skill for you to have. So it's usually on a Saturday or Sunday. It's a full day kind of activity. It's free to you as a student, just to brush up on some more beginner and kind of advanced sort of Excel tools and things. We also have something called 10,000 Coffees, which is kind of neat. So there's a bank here in Canada called the Royal Bank of Canada. It's the largest bank in all of Canada. And they've created this new program called 10,000 Coffees. And if you think of the concept, it really makes sense, which is it's all about networking. And it takes sometimes 10,000 coffees for you to sort of connect with the right person to maybe have an opportunity to land a job. So what they do is you go to this website, you put in some information, and they connect you with somebody in industry. It's not always, in this case, accounting, but it doesn't really matter. It's just meeting people, hearing their journey, their pathway, and they may know someone who knows someone, but it's a great networking opportunity for you. So those are just some of the things we try and do to just add some more value to you as a student. The next thing I want to do is just sort of share a bit about how the schedule works. So as I said, and I'm going to play a video in one more second to explain more about live online, what that really means. But even though the program is online, you're still having regular scheduled classes. So here's just a sample. Let's say it's the foundation program, and you're going to be in class 4 days a week. You're going to be in the same class on Monday and Wednesday. In this case, it's Intro to Financial Accounting. On Tuesday and Thursday, you're in economics. That time is 8:30 in the morning to 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, so that's Canada time. So if you're back home, that's around 6:30-ish or so, depending on where you are, if you're in India. And that's the same schedule you would have for the duration of the entire program. So for the whole 8 months, you would know your schedule. You can plan around it for other work commitments, family commitments, whatever the case may be. And there's no classes on Friday, so it gives you a nice long weekend to enjoy Toronto, enjoy Canada, or study if you need to. We also have a second cohort that usually runs from 12 to 3 p.m. And we usually try and reserve that for students who are in Canada, just because the timing, if you're in India, is a little more challenging because it's the middle of the night. If you're in the advanced accounting program, that usually runs from 6:45 to 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is Toronto time. So again, that one's sometimes a bit more tricky, but again, we do have students who will come to Canada, participate in that program, even though it's live online. They'll do that from here locally. Each of the courses meets for 13 weeks, 13 sessions, so 6.5 weeks, which may or may not be similar to how your studies are back in India. As you know, that there are 3-hour blocks, so you'll have 12 hours of live instruction per week. And then obviously on top of that, you should probably budget, 3 hours a day for textbook readings, working on problems, group assignments, activities, all that good stuff, okay? And I mentioned they meet at the same time for the duration of the program. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is just the CPA designation. So there are several sort of parts to the pathway. So I'll just kind of walk through what they are. So basically the first part is you completing 14 courses. And those 14 courses are done by you taking our postgraduate certificate in accounting. That's the foundation one that I mentioned. The second one is you taking then the advanced program. So most students will do both. They'll start with the foundation, and then they'll do the advanced one as their second program. And as you know, a lot of times, you have to sort of do your own research, but doing the second program will usually get you up to 3 years of a work permit, which is a nice sort of extra bonus. And then after finishing those courses, you would do something called the CPA PEP modules, which you would do through them. And then after that, you have to take an exam. And all throughout this process, you have to also complete a certain number of hours of working in an accounting firm to demonstrate your knowledge base. So it's a pretty long process. I'm not going to lie about that. It takes about 2.5 years to go from the beginning. Oh, sorry, about 4 years from the beginning to the very, very end. But certainly, it's really very much worth it in terms of career opportunities and all those good things. So that's just a bit about the CPA designation. If that's what your goals are, that's what you need to do. Again, if you start at the advanced program, that's fine too. You don't need to have, if that just assumes you've done those first bunch of courses. So there is an application process. I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. You do need to have a university degree. We do require at a minimum an IELTS of 6.0, or there are a lot of students now doing the Duolingo, and I believe it's 105 is the minimum number you need. I will be changing the application process for the January 22 cohort, and that will require students to do a video statement of interest and also submit a resume. So just as a side note, if that's something you're thinking about for future, it'll change a little bit for that group. And as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the advanced accounting program, you do need those 4 prerequisites: the fundamentals of financial accounting, fundamentals or intro to managerial accounting, economics, which includes micro and macro, and statistics. And it is a fairly competitive process, so we get a lot of applications. Most students that apply that are qualified are accepted, but sometimes there aren't enough spots for all the applications, and we have to make some tough decisions. So just I put it out there is that sometimes it is a competitive process. So that's the end of what I wanted to share with you today. And on the screen right now, you can see the different ways to communicate with us. Obviously, if you're working through sort of agents, and Dhruv can sort of share more about that, but if you have questions, you're always welcome to send them to our website, our email, which is continue@yorku.ca. We have student advisors we have advisors who advise students. They're not students, they're professionals, who advise prospective students, and you can certainly connect with them. If you have questions about your application or payments and those kinds of things, our registration coordinator can best answer those questions, and I put that phone number up there. So I will now do my best to go through these questions. I get a sense there may be quite a few, so let me have a look and see if I can.
While you do that, Todd, just in terms of how the students can connect. So as I mentioned earlier, I've worked very closely with the International Relations Office in the past. There's a fantastic team right on your campus at Chandigarh University led by Meenu. So I would strongly recommend as part of your application process as well, you can absolutely connect with her. And I will be in regular touch with Meenu. So the applications can also be routed through the International Relations Office, and I will make sure that I work closely with that office to make sure that anything that needs to be communicated with you can be done that ways. On top of that, if there are any particular questions academic in nature, please feel free to write to those email IDs as well. So I just wanted to make sure that you have easy access to the entire application process through the International Relations Office.
Great, perfect. So there are a few questions, and I apologize because there are some questions asking for some clarification. So sorry that I didn't sort of explain that better during the presentation. So someone's asking, what is a CPA? So a CPA is a Canadian Professional Accountant Association. It's called CPA, and they're like the governing body to be an accountant, a public accountant in Canada. So you can certainly work as an accountant in a private company without having your CPA designation, but having a CPA designation really sort of states that you've got a very, very high level and knowledge of accounting. And it does obviously open up some doors because there are certain companies, if they're public, they have to hire CPAs to do that work because it says you're a certified accountant. So it really also is a benchmark for people who have, high sort of senior accounting and financial accounting positions. So if you're going to work for a company and they need to hire a CEO, a CFO, or some of these high-level positions, you'll oftentimes see them have their CPA designation. So really, it's a badge of honor for sure if you have it. It definitely takes some effort and time to get it, but once you have it, it definitely opens up a lot more doors than if you did not, if your field of study and your profession is accounting. Somebody asked, hopefully that answered your question, Aman.
Just a second, Todd, just to give them context, because this might make them understand in the Indian context as well, just like we have CA in India. And it's not an easy exam to crack, but it opens multiple doors for you if you are really interested in accounting. In Canada, we have the CPA. So the CPA in Canada could be an equivalent to a CA in India. So I hope that gives you a better context in terms of what you're aiming for and how easy or difficult it might be to become a CPA.
Yeah, great. And CPAs are recognized all around the world, so it's definitely an international body, even though it has the name Canada on it. Somebody's asking about the duration of the program. So it's 8 months long, and that is the duration that is required for you to then be eligible for your postgraduate work permit, which is another question by Amat. Another question. So what is a PGWP? So sorry, I didn't clarify that sooner. It stands for postgraduate work permit. So after completing your program, you're eligible to apply for a postgraduate work permit, which allows you then to work in Canada. I'm not allowed to give visa information, so you'd have to sort of figure out what your eligible requirements are. But most of our students, if they do a 1-year program, they're eligible for up to 1 year of a work permit. If they do the foundation program and the advanced program, which is 2 years of study, then they're eligible for a 3-year work permit. So you actually could be in Canada between studying and working for approximately 5 years, which is very attractive for some, for sure. Somebody's asking, can we do an MBA at York? Absolutely, but that's a totally different department. You'd have to go to the business school. They have their own requirements for admission, and it's the Schulich School of Business is by far the best in all of Canada. It's ranked #1 in all of Canada, but you'd have to sort of go through the Schulich website, learn about their requirements, and you would apply directly. Our program is not a feeder program for their program. So if you're thinking about doing your MBA at York, that's definitely a different process. Arshdeep, I'm not sure I understand your question. It says foundation as well as advanced individually. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. So maybe you can kind of rewrite the question again, that'd be helpful. Somebody's asking if this program includes a co-op or any sort of internship. It does not. There's no work component. It's just the coursework. Certainly, you can volunteer places if you can find those opportunities. Many international students with their visas are allowed to work a certain number of hours. Again, you'd have to do your own research to see what that hours is. A lot of students, it's usually up to 20 hours, but every country is different, so I don't want to get into any visa. I'm not allowed to do that, but usually allowed to work up to 20 hours, so you can certainly do that on top of your study. So I think I understand that, Kushbu. I think I understand your question. Can people who are not that good in accounting opt for it? So yeah, so the foundation program, as I said earlier, is really for newbies. People who have no experience in accounting. We start at the beginning with intro to financial accounting, intro to managerial accounting, economics, statistics, really the core knowledge you need to know to work in the field of accounting. So yeah, if you have no experience at all, that's not a problem. We certainly have some of those students. We have certain students who have a little bit of experience, which is helpful for them. But if you have no experience at all, that's not a problem for you to participate in our programs. I would just say as long as you have an interest in accounting, because if you don't have an interest in accounting, there's probably more exciting and interesting topics for you to study. But if you have an interest in accounting, but you don't have any accounting experience, then that's not a problem for me. Oh, somebody's asking about the fees. That's a great question. I'll get to that in a second. I'll jump off my slides and go to our website. Actually, Dhruv, do you want to just look up the exact fees? Maybe easier and quicker for you to do it. Unless you know them off the top of your head.
So for the accounting program, it's about $15,200 approx. For the advanced accounting program, it's about $17,200 approx.
Yeah, and the advanced program has one additional course, and that's why it's more expensive. Yeah, thanks, Dhruv. I was forget the different costs. Do we need to complete our graduation for this program? The answer is yes. You need a degree to enroll in our program. So we know some students, they apply when they're still getting their degree, and that's fine, but you'll just have to show documentation that you've completed your studies before you start our program. How is CPA different from ACCA? It's not that different. They actually have a relationship. They've got this partnership where if you are a good standing member of ACCA, you can automatically just jump into and have your CPA. If you've done parts of the ACA, then you sort of have to figure out where you fit into the CPA pathway. But they're similar in terms of these are advanced sort of programs to give people know that you've met a certain standard of knowledge and skills. So just to confirm, yes, the online study gives you the same eligibility if you were studying in Canada on campus face-to-face. So the IRCC, which is the Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship, I think that's what IRC stands for. Drew would probably correct me on that. Anyway, the IRCC has come out with a statement recently that says you can study through, you can begin your studies before December 31st, 2021 and complete your studies 100% online and still be eligible for the work permit. So there's no disadvantage for you to study online in terms of getting that work permit. Kushbu was asking if I teach anything. No, I don't. I didn't say this earlier, but I look after several programs: accounting, public relations, digital marketing, full stack web development, learning experience design. So I'm not an expert in any of those things. I know a lot about accounting. I know a lot about digital marketing just from managing the program, but I do not teach any of the courses. I hire people to do that for me, which you're better off because I don't know anything about accounting, and you'd be in big trouble if I was trying to teach you debits and credits. Manfred's asking, are there any scholarships? So we don't have any specific scholarships, but on our website, you can, there's a finance section, and there are some opportunities and things for different sort of financial opportunities, but we as a department do not have any scholarships. We are not funded by the government or the university, so we're basically cost recovery unit. So you're actually not eligible for any of the government funding because we don't get any funding from the government, so we don't get any scholarship funding as well. So someone's asking if York is a private university or a government university. Yeah, so there are very, very few private universities in Canada. Most are public universities. So yeah, the university itself is a public university.
Just to elaborate on the scholarship question, it's a very common and one of the most favorite questions asked. I would also want to elaborate that the programs that we offer are very competitively priced. So as I mentioned before, even if you are adding 2 programs, the overall cost is less than $40,000. I hate to compare, but suppose if you're looking at a Masters of Marketing program run out of Schulich, the annual cost for that is about 80,000 Canadian dollars, whereas a digital marketing program that we run is about $15,000. So I'm not saying that I'm comparing a degree program with a certificate program, but the cost is an important part for an international student. And because our programs are very competitively priced, even if you include a scholarship for a degree program, the pricing might still be better with our program. So that's something that you might want to look at and consider as an international student.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Kushbu, for your comment that you're sad that you wouldn't be learning from me. That's very nice for you to say. Thanks for those kind words. Okay, another question. What is the training time for our course implementation into practice after studies? I'm not sure I understand the question exactly, but I'll try and answer it. And if I don't answer it, if you can sort of rewrite it. But so the program's 8 months long. You are allowed to work typically during your studies. You should probably budget around, let's say, 8 to 10 hours of study time on top of the 12 hours of in-class instruction. And once you finish your program, you're certainly eligible to work after that. So I don't know if that answered your question, but if it didn't, certainly re-ask it. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming up. If nobody has any more questions, do you have any other comments you want to make before we say goodbye for the day?
Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. As I said before, please connect with also your international relations office if you want to initiate the process, and they will be able to help you with the same. As I said before, I'll work very closely with the international relations team to make sure that you get all the information and this process is as smooth as it can be. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for all of your questions. They were fantastic. Thanks for being engaged and sticking around for the whole session. Hopefully you found something valuable for you, and hopefully we might be considered for where you might want to study. So any questions, you certainly can reach out to us. We're always happy to answer. Like, that's our main job, is to sort of provide customer service to you and make sure your studies are successful, and that starts today. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks for your interest in York University's School of Continuing Studies. Thanks to Dhruv for organizing this. And yeah, that's it. So, all right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again for coming, and stay healthy. And hopefully we can see you one day soon on campus.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.